Hello chess friends, this is Video Master Valeri Lilov and welcome to today's lecture for chesslectures.com. Today I'd like to speak about a very interesting theme, and that is about the positional and tactical, or as many people call it, attacking chess. Now, I find this theme very interesting because I've seen many people who really get confused between these two teams, and they wonder, what should I study? Should I study how to play better in a positional way? How can I plan? How should I maneuver my pieces and prepare? Or maybe it's a better idea if I focus mostly on working at tactics and I actually improve in that area. There were many people who are in quite controversial type of setups. So some people, like Reddit, said that I remember Richard Reddy, in fact, who's one of the main sentences that he said was that basically the tactical chess is very important. He said a knowledge of combinations and tactics is the foundation of the positional play. This is a rule that has stood its test in the chess history. Yet, remember, Reddy told it about 100 years ago, so there is a lot of time and water that was actually passed until that time. Later on, about 50 years after, Samuel Reshevsky said that basically the positional and tactical chess are terms which are often wrongly understood. So there is no separately tactical or positional chess. You can't promote a tactics or if the position doesn't let you. And on the contrary, you can't promote a successful strategy if you only consider to play positionally. This means you only improve, and you really don't focus on how you can really transform your advantage through a tactic. Now, first of all, let's start with some more basic stuff. What is the positional chess? The positional chess, we often call this type of the strategy, which we often relate to the improvement of our pieces, the gradual improvement of the, let's say, the pawn structure, advancing, and ways for us to maneuver in order to weaken the opponent's position, our way to plan slowly. So we know that the positional chess is often more slower and more gradual. It's easier to play like that if you ever understood the main themes, and it doesn't involve that many calculations or other type of training as the tactical chess actually involves. So the great positional players are Smyslov, Botvinnik, Anatoly Karpov, José Capablanca, and of course, Tigran Petrosyan. On the other hand, the tactical chess, is the part of the strategy in which we involve our own ideas, how we can create threats or make some certain attacks or tactics against the opponent. Often this is the way, for when we make combinations, we definitely use the attacking against the tactical chess. However, how often we can make such kind of combinations? You see, we can make it only if the position lets us. So basically, the tactical chess and the positional chess are very close connected to each other, and I don't think that the tactical chess can work without the positional. What I'd like to show you right now is an excellent example that was played between two great players of the past. The last knight of the gambits, the great Adolf Anderssen from Germany, who was one of the unofficial world champions, because there was no world championship actually back in the 50 years of 19th century. Yet he was by many considered as the strongest players by its age, and it was first defeated by Paul Morphy, and a little bit later by Wilhelm Steinitz, actually the first official world champion, when Steinitz managed to outplay his opponent because of the better positional chess that he was following. And from here we can follow the concept that the positional chess is always the first one. You can never manage a good attack if your position doesn't let you. If you don't have the good foundation of prepared pieces, quite well prepared pawn structure, and good setup behind. So this game very instructively shows us this, and that's what I'd like to actually point out here. Steinitz had the black pieces, and he managed to outplay in a very instructive way his opponent's fast ways to make attack. Anderssen, of course, started with his open games with e4. Any player at that time was considering that the open games shall be the most appropriate. So e4, e5, and then White played the move of knight f3. knight c6, and bishop to b5. Against this manner of playing, actually Anderson chooses to play the real best, which we know has more like a positional background and less tactics than, let's say, with the systems with bishop c4 and Italian game, or probably the Evans Gambit variation. So pretty much after the move of bishop up to b5, black decided to come out with let's say knight f6, and when white played the move of pawn to d3, let's take a look. In general, black continued with pawn up to d6. The preparation and of course support of the e5 pawn is quite good, and black is actually getting ready to develop the rest of his pieces and manage them on good squares. White played bishop takes to c6. Now we see how, in fact, Anderson hurries to make certain targets or weaknesses in front of black's position in order to attack them. He doesn't think so much about development and gradual improvement, but he wants to go straight. In my opinion, here, without any necessity, white abandons a small advantage. The pinning of a knight on c6 by the mobile bishop on b5, and also, in fact, this is presenting black with another small advantage, which is the pair of bishops. B takes to c6. Now, being a little bit afraid of a kind of pin like bishop up to g4, white decided to play h3, and again, in my opinion, that's kind of lost in time. Incurred in order to prevent the bishop on g4, but in my opinion, that wouldn't have been any strong idea by black. Many of the modern players of this type of variation with d3 know that if the knight comes on d2, bishop g4 simply doesn't happen to be a serious threat. It's just because after white's knight promotes himself on g3, this bishop will be attacked and it will have to come back, losing an important tempo. So after the move of knight up to the d2, white would have a decent position, slightly worse maybe, but still decent one. And instead he played the move of h3. Even castles would have worked. After h3, black played a very powerful type of move. It was g6. Now, this is, in my opinion, preparation for an assault by a mass of pawns, as taught by Philidor. Well, black's intention right now is to play bishop to g7, and after castling, in fact, then he will be having an excellent opportunity at once removal of the knight. He will be able to prepare f5 and b5 and break up through the center. As we can see, for difference than white's straight activities to do some weaknesses or prevent the opponent from attacking him concretely, black has a lot more long-term strategy. What he's preparing right now is the opportunity to receive a favorable pawn structure, and slowly, after developing, like with bishop g7, castling, remove all the knight, and then potentially f5, he would like to bring his pieces forward and gradually advance, prepare to create problems. After the move of g6 was played, actually, white played knight c3, and now black simply played bishop g7. White castled, and then black, of course, decided to castle on his own. White played again, the most active bishop up to g5, intending to attack on the f6, and once again, that was kind of casual. That move didn't have any long-term perspective. As we see, Anderson's main intention is to promote threats, to make attacks. But unfortunately, it's not the character of a position, and yet white doesn't have the preparation. So these two reasons make moves like bishop g5 completely useless. Black attacked on this bishop, and once white's bishop came behind on the e3, black simply played on with c5. Now the pawns formation that black is keeping of 4 pawns that